Hi, I'm Heidi from Rondos Creations, where we make and supply creations for you, your home and your friends. This is our how-to instruction video for the Macrame heart wall hanging kit. Now I'm going to show you how to make your heart wall hanging using this kit available from Rondos Creations, or if you've got your own cords and supplies, you can follow along as well. Here's what's in your kit. Your how-to instruction card, a dowel, pointy stick, little fringe comb, and your chosen colour of cord. This one's pink, it's available also in olive green and natural. Other things you'll need are some sharp scissors, a tape measure, and some sellotape. So to begin with, we need to cut our cords. We need to cut 12 lengths at 100 centimetres, so that's what I've cut there already, and then 2 lengths at 50 centimetres. So I'm just going to cut that now. I measured 50. There we go, so that's 1 and 2 lengths at 50 centimetres. Now take your dowel and place it in front of you, along with your 12 100 centimetre lengths of cord, and we're going to do the first of our knots, 3 knots involved in this hanging, and this is a lark's head knot. So you need to take 1 length of cord and fold it in half, so you've got the ends together and then a loop at the other end. This loop is going to pass behind your dowel, so lift it up like so, and then you take the 2 ends and pass it through that loop and pull down on the ends, pulling it nice and tightly. And we're going to start at the left-hand end of the dowel and work our way along, repeating that lark's head knot with all 12 cords. So again, I'm going to take another one, fold it in half, take the loop, pass it behind the dowel, get the ends and pass them through the loop, pull it down nice and snugly and move it up next to the other one, and I'm going to repeat that all the way along. So that's the last of my 12 cords. I'm just pulling it down nice and tightly, and then make sure they're all spaced out evenly on your dowel and pulled down nice and tightly. Then we're going to turn it around so that the loops of the lark's head knots are on the front, and this is going to be the front of your work. And I'm going to put it down on my table or worktop, and we want to hold it in place with some sellotape, just to make it easier to work with. So obviously you could put it on a board or a table, but obviously making sure it's not your best table. So stick each end down. There we go, 1 and 2. And that just makes it easier for us to knot our cords, and it's got a bit of tension to hold it in place. Now we're going to do the second of our knots. And this is called a flat square knot, like this here. And we're going to do 1 row all along the top under our lark's head knots. So to begin with, we're going to take the first 4 cords on the left-hand side. We're always going to work from the left-hand side across. And I'm going to remove all the other cords out the way so we can just work with these first 4 to begin with. So spread them apart a bit. Now we've got the 2 outside cords, they're called the working cords. The 2 inside ones are the filler cords. So take your left cord first, lay it across the 2 filler cords, and then your right cord goes on top of that left cord and then it'll go round the back and out of this loop here. So I'll just lift it up. So you take it underneath that left cord, round the back of the 2 filler cords and out the loop you've created here. So you pull that end out there. So we've got this shape, and then you pull that up nice and snugly underneath your lark's head knots. And that's half of the flat square knot. So now we're going to do that again, and you will take the right cord over the 2 filler cords. The left cord will go over that end. You lift the filler cords up, and the left cord will go behind the 2 filler cords and out the loop on the right hand side you've created. And again, you want to pull it up nice and tightly. And that's your first flat square knot there. So we're going to repeat that process, working to the right using all the other cords. So we'll take the next 4 cords, 2, 3, 4. And again, we're going to take the left cord and place it over the 2 filler cords. Take your right cord, lay it over the end of the left cord, lift the piece up and move it round behind the 2 filler cords and out of the loop on the left hand side. And again, pull your ends nice and tightly underneath those lark's head knots. So that's half of your flat square knot again. Now we're going to go the other way, so we'll take the right hand cord over the 2 filler cords. Your left cord will go round behind the 2 working cords, filler cords, beg your pardon, and out of the loop on the right hand side. And again, pull it up nice and tight. So that's 2 flat square knots, and we're going to carry on along using all of the cords. Now I've finished my first row of flat square knots using all the 12 cords there. Next, we're going to create the top of the heart shape with our second row of flat square knots. So to begin with, I'm going to separate my cords into half, so 2 groups of 12, and I'll move the second group out the way. And we're going to work on this first half here. And we want to measure down about 3 or 4 centimetres, so it's roughly there. And we're going to take, working from the left always, we're going to count across our cords, and we're going to take cords 5, 6 and 7. So that's cord 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the first one I want, which is 5, 6, 7 and 8. So we want these 4 cords to do another flat square knot, and it wants to be about 3 or 4 centimetres below this knot here. So again, it's the same process. Take the left cord, lay it over the filler cords, and your right cord goes behind, round and out of the loop. So this time, for this one, we're not going to pull it all the way up. Like I say, we want a gap of about 3 or 4 centimetres. So we're going to put it to there, and then take the right cord in front, and that goes round behind, repeating this flat square knot again, and then that part I will pull up tight. This is our second row of flat square knots, but it's a gap of about 4 centimetres there. So now we're going to do the third row, because this is row 1, that's row 2. So our third row, we're going to use chords 3, 4, 5 and 6. So I'm going to count from the left again. 1, 2, so I want chords 3, 4, and I'm going to borrow 2 from this one. So that's chords 5 and 6. And I'm going to do another flat square knot here. So again, left in front. First one on row 3, and then we want another knot next to that, so we will take chords 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so we want chord 7, 8, 9 and 10 to tie our next knot. So that's 2 knots in our third row. So that's row 1, 2, 3, and that's got 2 knots in. So the fourth row is going to have 3 knots in. So for this one, we want to use from the left again chords 1, 2, 3 and 4, and we'll tie another flat square knot. That's one, and then the second knot uses chords 5, 6, 7 and 8. And the third knot uses chords 9, 10, and the ones we haven't used yet, 11 and 12. There we go, and that is the top of our heart shape there. And what we need to do is repeat that with the other half of chords. So we're going to repeat rows 2, 3 and 4 with the other half here. So now we've completed rows 1, 2, 3, 4. And for fifth row, we're going to join the 2 halves together. And this is going to be chords 1 to 24 now. So for row 5, it's going to have 5 knots in, and we want to take chords 3, 4, 5 and 6 to start our first knot. So that's chords 1, 2. So we want 3, 4, 5 and 6, and we'll do a flat square knot again. These ones sit nicely under the row above. So that's the first one of the 5, and then we're going to move across in groups of 4. So the next knot we'll use chords 7, 8, 9 and 10. So that's 2 knots on row 5, and then we're going to continue to make our 5 knots moving across in groups of 4. So now we've done rows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and row 5 had 5 knots in. So row 6 is going to have 6 knots in, and I'm going to start with chords 1, 2, 3 and 4 and tie my first knot. And then I'm going to work away in groups of 4 and tie 6 knots across on row 6. So that's row 6 done with 6 knots, and now with row 7 we're going to start shaping the bottom of the harp. Row 7 has 5 knots, and we're going to start with chords 3, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and we're going to tie in groups of 4 5 knots. So that's row 7 done with 5 knots. Now for row 8, which has 4 knots, and we'll start with chords 5, 6, 7 and 8. So that's chords 5, 6, 7 and 8, and we're going to tie 4 knots. So row 9, and it's 3 knots for row 9, and we're going to start with chords 7, 8, 9 and 10, and we'll move across doing 3 knots in groups of 4. Now for row 10, and that has 2 knots, and we'll start with chords 9, 10, 11 and 12, and again it's groups of 4 chords. So now it's row 11, which is the last row, and it's just 1 knot, and we take the 4 chords in the middle, so that's chords 11, 12, 13 and 14, and we're just going to tie one last flat square knot. There we go, so that's your heart shape complete. The next thing to do is to make our hanging loop. So now I've carefully taken the sellotape off my dowel, and I'm going to move the work to one side and bring in my 2 50cm lengths of cord. One I'll just leave at the top. The other one, I'm going to take the end, and we need to split it in half down the length. So if you carefully use your thumb and sort of pull it apart, roughly halfway, and then you keep pulling, use your finger to sort of separate the piece and gently untwist it as you go. Keep pulling and twisting all the way down the length of that cord and easing it, and it should split into 2, like so. So there we go, that's the last little bit there, split into 2. So one piece we don't need, we're going to put that to one side. The other one, we're going to take it and we're going to do the same again. We're going to split that piece now into 2. Just makes it a bit thinner to work with. So again, split it, run your finger down and twist it as you go. There we go, nearly down there. That's a little bit there, that's split into 2. So we want these 2 pieces, and we'll just lay them out. So next we're going to do our 3rd knot, and it is the wrap knot, like this one here, to attach our hanging loop to our dowel. So I'll show you how to do that. So we'll take the thicker of the cords, the one we didn't split, and we're going to make a little loop with about a tail of about 4 centimetres sticking up from your fingers. And then we're going to thread that onto our dowel. Like so, just pinch it in your thumb and finger. Now we're going to take one of the split cords and make a loop with a tail of about 8 centimetres or so. And pick that one up, and we will lay it with the tail in the opposite direction to the one that you're holding on the stick. So we will lay it with this longer tail sticking upwards, and then the shorter tail of the thicker cord pointing downwards, and pinch it all together in your thumb and finger. Next, we want to wrap this longer length of thin cord, split cord, around all of the cord that's in your thumb and finger here. So we'll wrap it round the whole thing. So I'm wrapping it round everything there, and as close to the stick, or the dowel, sorry, as possible. So again, wrap it round. I'm going to wrap it round about 6 times. That's 1, pulling it tight, 2, and we'll cover, keep everything in your fingers and cover this loop as we go. 2, 3, and trying to keep it all held in your fingers. 4, and about 5, and 6, and pull it snugly. Then you take the longer end and pass it through this loop here that's at the bottom. So we pass it through. I'll just show you there, and pull it all the way through. And then we need to now take the shorter end of the split cord here, and we're going to pull that up. I'll just pull it up. And as you can see, that loop there is disappearing up inside of the wrap. So again, pull it all the way. Give it a tug on, holding onto these pieces here as we go. And it's disappearing. There we are, up inside the wrap. And at this point, you might want to take your sharp scissors, I'll just get them, and snip this longer end off. Obviously, you don't want to cut this piece off, because that's what's going to hold your hanging up. So we'll snip that off close to the wrap. Oops, I've missed a bit. And then give it another little tug, like so. And that's your wrap knot. So just to finish it off, we'll snip that end off that we just pulled, close to the wrap as possible. And then lastly, we want to snip off the thicker cords, the end that's sticking out. Again, as close to the wrap knot as possible, but being careful not to cut this long hanging cord off. So again, snip it off as close as you can. And then that's your wrap knot that attaches the hanging loop to your dowel. And we want to repeat that on the other side here. On the other side now, I've got the thick loop pointing up on the dowel, the small loop pointing down, and I've wrapped my end round 6 times. So I'm just going to pull this short end now, so the loop disappears inside of the wrap. So we'll just pull it there. And it's disappeared up inside the wrap. So the next thing, just pull it a bit more, is to trim the ends off. Again, being careful not to cut our main hanging cord. Trim the ends off, and this thick one as well. There we go, and we just fold it up, and that's how we'll hang it on the wall. So now we're going to create the fringe. So we'll turn the work sideways, and we want to take a tape measure and measure about 5 or 6 centimetres below this middle bottom knot. And take your sharp scissors. If you try and lay all your cords out, it makes it easier to cut across. So we'll take sharp scissors and we're going to cut across here at as straight as possible. So the next thing you want to do is take your pointy stick, and with the pointiest end, we're going to start teasing our fringe apart. For this, you might want to put a piece of paper on your worktop just to protect it if you need to make sure that you're not going to mark it. But you want to just gently start teasing your way down each piece of cord and twisting it as you go. So it does take a little while, but the more you do it, the better your fringe will be. So just be patient and work your way along each piece of cord, just untwisting it as you go. So I've worked my way across. It takes a little bit of time, a bit of patience. But obviously the more you unravel it, the more fringy your fringe will be, and it's part of the process, part of the fun. So there we go, I've twisted all of that with my stick. Next thing, I'm going to take my fringe comb and I'm going to work my way across with my fringe comb. Again, you might want to put something down to protect your worktop or your table, because this is a little bit scratchy, the fringe comb. So take your time and just hold on to your piece of work and comb down the length of the cord, the length of the fringe, just to make it all untwisted and sit nice and flat. Okay, so I've been all the way across that side, the fringe. So I want to pick it up and turn it over and do the same process on the back. And obviously the more you do it, the better the fringe is going to look. Just be patient and keep working your way across. So the last thing to do is just to even up the bottom here, because we've got some fluffy ends that we've created. So again, pick up your sharp scissors, be careful with them obviously, and just trim across the bottom, just to get rid of those fluffy bits. There we go, that's not bad. And one last little comb. And turn it back over to the front and comb that side one last time. Let's just straighten it up again. In fact, I actually want to trim it again now, looking at the front on the right side. So again, this is the thing, it's how you want it to look as well. If you feel it's not straight, then you just go back in again with your scissors and just trim it up there. There. I think I'm happy with how that looks. And that's my, just turn it around, my completed macrame wall hanging. That's the finished macrame wall hanging in olive green, and I think it looks fantastic. I really hope you enjoy creating your wall hanging. We'd love to see your finished pieces. You can share your photos on Instagram, Facebook and Pinterest. Just tag us in at rondos_creations so we get to see your photos. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up to date with our latest Rondos creation videos. Enjoy creating!